So the third topic here is the types of filters. There are so many types of filters, so many, it's something like so many varieties, so many brands. So to start off at basic level, you have sponge filters. So you get two types. Basically, you get two types. One is which is a floor mounted kind of a sponge filter, which is placed on the ground of the base of your aquarium. The second very commonly available is your wall mounted, which is stuck, which has got a vacuum suction, and that is stuck to your glass, and it gives a output on top, so you get a good surface agitation with that kind of sponge filter. Next, you have your Hangon filters. You have different types of Hangon filters: small, big, very big, and you get even Hangon canister filters. So that is again a lot of brands like Sobo, Sunsun, RS, Venus. These are things which you get commonly in India, and Hangon filters. But the only issue again I want to mention with Hangon filters is that if you're having a thin glass, then going for a very heavy Hangon filter. Some people make aquariums with 5 mm glass and all of that. With a 5 mm glass, your water will hold, but your Hangon filter is sitting on this glass, so we need to be very careful. So it may not take the load over time, because it will definitely have a slight vibration. So a Hangon filter, if you're going for, you need to have a little thick glass. If your aquarium is with a thicker glass, it's always better. So it's always better to go for that, because some people, you get even Hangon canisters where it is very heavy actually. So if you don't have a minimum of a 10 mm glass, I would not recommend buying that, because it will give you good filtration, but if the glass cannot hold it, then your aquarium cannot handle it. So you need to understand that. So depending on your glass thickness, you need to decide on your Hangon, because Hangon will always have water in it, and media and sponge and whatever, so it will be heavy, and it will be heavy on one side of the glass. So if your glass is not thick, it might cause some problems for your aquarium. So that is something you need to take care when you're getting into Hangon. Depending on your glass thickness, you can decide. It's just a thing, because it happened to me when I started off. I ended up, there was a small leak in the tank and all that. I'm sure you've seen the videos. Yeah, so that is the Hangon part. Then you have canister filters. There are so many varieties of canisters. You have Sunsun, you have Flavel, you have EHAM, you have I'm not getting names anyway. So again, canisters, if you're going about tanks above 150 to 200 liter kind of tanks, better to go for a canister filter, because that is when it does a good kind of filtration and all that. And I think canisters start minimum with about 1000 liters per hour will be your minimum output. So there, when I'm talking about the big ones, which has got 4-5 sections, and you can put a lot of filter media in that and all of that. So minimum it starts from about 1000 to 1500 liters per hour. Okay, so that is how a canister. When you go for a bigger tank, definitely a canister is good. Then you have something like a top sump or top filter, which is something which sits on top, which got a rack, and you have the box which the filter sits on top, and there is a pump which goes up. In this tank I made something very similar. I made it out of glass, but it's not a ready-made thing. But anyway, that's a separate topic. Let's not talk about that. Let's get into that. But anyway, so in a top filter, it's similar. You have a pump and which goes inside, but it's a bigger box, so you can have more media and all of that. But the problem, or I feel, is the issue with the standard ready-made top filters. In power outage, the entire water comes down because of gravity, and if you're having long power cuts, you're going to have your the beneficial bacteria which is formed inside your media will tend to kind of die, because if you have long power cuts. So otherwise you need to do some kind of a setting where the water remains inside your top filter, then it's completely fine, because beneficial bacteria needs water. Without water it will not survive. So that is the whole small disadvantage with top filter. That's something you need to adjust, kind of a jugaad you need to do. Yeah. And most important thing, one more thing, when you go bigger, about 4 feet kind of a thing, tanks and all, a lot of people make sumps, which is literally like another aquarium right below your aquarium, where it has got everything. It's got much more place, and it's got more area for your media and sponge. So basically water comes down, goes through your sump and passes through media and comes back with a pump, and the water comes back on top. So that is basically like a sump system. Mainly you would say like 4 feet, 5 feet kind of tanks. You need to have that kind of a system, because any canister or any hang-on or whatever will not be able to withstand that kind of bio load, because that many fishes will be there and it's a big tank. So you need to have that much more of media and sponge and all of that. Only then the filtration will be correct. So you need to, when you go bigger, you need to have a sump system. Yeah, so that is for a much bigger tank. Then you have your moving bed filters, like Kevim. I've made a lot of videos about that, and so that is like a moving bed filter, which is, I wouldn't say like a primary filter. It can be your secondary kind of a filter. So you have a canister, you can also have a moving bed. Only having a moving bed will not do justice, because of course it has got a lot of Kevim media and all that, and rotating, and it's low maintenance and all of that. But having only that is not going to help, because that is a much slower process, and the surface area in a Kevim or a moving bed is much lesser than a media based or a sponge based filter. So these are the things which I am aware of. If there is something else, if I missed out, do let us know in the comments. Yeah. One more thing. This is something I think every aquarium shop guy sells to every hobbyist when you start off. This is basically, I don't know, they call it a submersible pump, but it's completely a power head. It's just a power head with huge pressure and with a small area of sponge. Yeah. So this is not going to do any major filtration, and this was actually sold to my father-in-law for a 1.5 feet tank, which holds hardly 30-40 liters of water. This pump's output is 650 liters per hour, and once we put this in, the pressure was so high that the fishes couldn't even stand. So this, I wouldn't say is a filter. I don't know why they call it filter. Very commonly available in all your shops. I personally won't recommend this. I personally say this is good if you have a huge tank and you need water flow, right? You want to have good circulation, then this is good, I will say, because the power of this output is awesome. The power, this pressure what it throws water is excellent, but it's not going to do any justice, and it's going to put your fish into huge stress, and it's eventually going to harm your fish. So this is not something recommended for small fish tanks, or if you're starting off a fish tank, or you're starting fresh. I'm sure a lot of you guys would have seen this. This is something you shouldn't buy. I will never recommend buying this for a small tank. If you have a 4-feeter, 5-feeter, this kind of a tank behind me, if you want to create a good circulation, then yes, of course, take this, but not for. And this cannot be the only filtration in your tank, no chance, because the area of sponge, everything is so small, and there's so much pressure that there's nothing going to stick onto this. So please don't get this. With a lot of people, I'm sure anybody getting into this hobby would have seen this filter. Yeah, it is just not, I wouldn't call it a filter. That's my opinion, but yeah, big no. Big no to this. Yeah. Hope you guys liked the video, and hope I could educate you guys a little bit with regards to what I know about this hobby. A little bit, I think I know. Yeah. So until the next video, bye bye. Stay safe.